Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Today's guests, including Farhan standing by, are brought to you by Optic Foliar, the only lights-on spray with no damage and no burning to your plant leaves. Plant efficiency, nutrition, and results, all combined into a single solution for all stages of growth and safe to use on flowers. Spray it, see it, Rick, believe it. Oh, that's Optic Foliar. Visit this made-in-BC company online at opticfoliar.ca. Just before we get to Farhan, in Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox. Guys, this is from Bobby in Vancouver. Ryan is too young to understand old school hockey.
Sure
Zip it.
Yep.
Zip it. Rick and Donnie know the old school.
Yeah, and the Broad Street Bullies, Donnie and I can name you the entire team, Ryan. Thank you.
Congratulations. I've seen a hockey fight too. But, how does that equate to 2022? I don't know. I'm not getting into this because if you say anything bad about hockey and fighting, it's like you're calling out people's
some
kids.
people agree with you.
No, it's like
some.
It's like you're not a hockey fan because you don't like fighting.
But it is an interesting debate.
Yeah, but
sure.
You can't have 21 players with zero grit, Ryan. That doesn't work like that.
See, that. And that's where it gets fuzzy because it's like grit fighting.
Really?
Yeah.
21 players with no grit you can have,
But I'm not saying grit and fighting, that's two different things. But
right.
Anyway, doesn't matter.
The
We're not
game's
doing
changed.
this again. It's
The
the
game's
seventh
changed.
time we've done this on this show.
Yeah.
Seventh. That's way low. Farhan joins us now from TSN, back from L.A. How are you, sir?
I'm not a fighting guy. I'm good, though. I'm on Henderson's side because I'm young for my age.
Oh, please.
You know what I don't
look
like,
at
guys?
too far.
Here's what I hate. Here's what I hate, guys. Okay, fighting is fighting. There's an organic nature to it, and I'm not going to beat my head up against the wall on the issue. Here's what I hate. I hate stage fighting, but more than anything else,
Yes.
I hate when somebody else hits a star player hard and clean, and they got to fight.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
It is a clean hit. It is an open ice hit. The guy put himself in a position, whatever. You're on the ice. If you're Connor McDavid, you should be allowed to get hit. I don't care if you're Elias Pettersson. You should be allowed to get hit as long as it's clean, not egregious, not a runaround guy. If you get hit in the context of a game and a regular hit, suck it up, man. Take it.
Here's where things have changed. And again, we could have this conversation for 2 hours every day, but here's where things have changed for me. When it comes to response and fighting, everything's changed because of Derek Bugard and Rick Rippon and those sad stories regarding what happened to their mental health in the wake of in the midst of their career. So that's where things have definitely changed. But it is an interesting discussion. Did you see the Jack Rathbone hit last night, Farhan, by any chance?
Yeah, I did. I didn't like it. I mean, square in the numbers, right? There's no way around that. I think it was a bad hit for CVR, and I would hope he gets some sort of suspension. And what was alarming is that neither official put their hands in the air right away to signal a call, and it was after the fact they were reacting to the injury, making the call in the ejection because they knew that at that point the game was going to get out of hand, right? That if you didn't kick him out, there was going to be fighting and all sorts of retribution and craziness in that game. But I mean, I don't know how you missed that call because square in the numbers, right? I mean, unfortunate and good that I know Rick reported earlier today that he's out of hospital and it was more precautionary, and hope to see him back on the ice soon. But more than anything, just glad he's healthy.
Yeah, we'll talk more about what Rick had to say this morning in a bit. Did you watch the women's gold medal game last night?
I did, and I've watched very little Olympics, but I was captivated last night. And, usually Canada and the U.S. in a gold medal game rarely ever disappoints. The quality of hockey rarely ever disappoints. Marie-Philippe Poulin never disappoints, right? I mean, there was just so many great storylines around that game, and nice to see the Canadians get it back after losing it 4 years ago.
Farhan, over to the Canucks, their GM and their president have been doing a lot of interviews lately, and they've basically been preaching the same thing. Look, we're going to be patient. We're in the playoff race. We got a new management team. We need time. They're still evaluating. So everyone that wants a Besser, Miller, Garland trade, it's not happening anytime soon. You're okay with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think you might as well give them that chance. And you've got to decide what you think the market's going to look like, right? I mean, when you see what Calgary paid for Tyler Toffoli, is the market just going to elevate between now and the trade deadline? So I'm sure if you're the Canucks, you're gambling. give ourselves a month to figure out where we really are.
Right.
And then at that point, let's see how much the market heats up, because what we could get today, maybe we can get 10% more. Maybe the second round pick becomes a first round pick along with the player and the prospect and everything else that they've been asking for. So yeah, I mean, give them a chance. And this is the dangerous part in all of this, right? You can make a case to trade these guys. But, Drancer and I have talked about this. I know he's talked about it on your show as well, about what the Canucks' actual contention window is going to be, and it's not going to be anytime soon. But at the same time, you can't keep stripping it down to the studs and be able to look Pettersson and Hughes and Demko and Horvat in the eyes and say, okay, we're doing the right things, but you got to suck up losing for another 3 years here before we can get it right. I think that that's a delicate line, because the numbers and the asset management and all of that does make sense, but you still have to look at those players and say, get used to losing for a little bit longer. And I think that's difficult to do.
We had Nathan Rourke on yesterday. What an impressive young man. So the Lions, first two Canadian quarterbacks since the 1950s. Then yesterday, they named Tanya Walter the first full-time female hire. Boy, the Lions, interesting off-season, say the least. What your thoughts on Tanya Walter with the Lions?
Well, I think it's good. And look, as far as the unique offseason for the Lions, it began with the ownership change, right? And a minority buying the team there as well. And, here's the one thing. I'm all for whether it's, minority advancement, whether it's female advancement. I'm all for it as long as you believe that person deserves it, right? Yeah. And Rick Campbell believes that Tanya Walter deserves it. We spoke about it, and I said, when you look at her resume compared to some other male coaches that maybe look to get in at those kinds of jobs, whose resume is a little bit better at times, right? And he says, you know what? It's a fair question. However, I do believe she's qualified to do the job. I do believe her resume is good enough and her background is good enough that she can help us in this job. The CFL football ops cap doesn't allow you to make token hires, right? It doesn't allow you to check a box. Mm-hmm. You've got such limited resources that you better make sure you can maximize every penny that you're going to be spending. And from her standpoint, she's going to be doing a lot in the data side and practice preparation and film breakdown and things like that. And Rick believes she's good enough to help in those areas. And people around her who have coached with her believe at some point she's going to be able to run her own room at the professional level, meaning, she could be the lead position coach in a specific area, right? And when you talk to NFL players who've had a chance to work with Katie Sowers, the Kansas City Chiefs assistant coach, and Lori Locust, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers female coach on their staff, or Kelly Brownson, the head of staff for the Cleveland Browns, they were really impressed by her. They're impressed by the detail of knowledge that they have. And that, once you listen to them speak, they get it. They understand the game. Because here's the thing, Rick, how many elite professional players go on to be elite coaches? Yeah. It doesn't happen often, right? I mean, was Wayne Gretzky a great coach? Quite often it's that other guy. So if it's someone that wasn't an elite player, why can't it be a female? Yeah. You know what I mean, right? Yeah. Like if it was that marginal player that's doing it, why can't it be a female that learns the game well enough? And I think from everything I've heard, I think Tanya Walter is going to be that person for the Lions.
And yet, Farhan, when you brought up male coaches that might be more well qualified, I detected a little hint of jealousy there. Have you ever been approached to coach at the college level, the CFL level, anything like that?
Many times, yeah, including head coaching opportunities. And wow. I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing just so that I can continue to talk to you and Rick, right? Because I get smarter whenever I do this segment. I couldn't do that if I was a full-time coach.
Everybody does.
There you go. And of course,
honestly, like there was a time when I thought about it seriously. There's actually two stages in my life when I thought about it. And the first time, I tell this story a lot with Jeff Reinbold, who's a good friend of all of ours, right? And back when Jeff was coaching with the Lions and I was just getting started in the media, so in the mid to late 90s, Jeff and I used to hang out a bit, and I went down to Surrey and I went to their offices to Jeff and I were going to go for drinks after, and he left the office for a second. I looked on his desk and he had his resume, and his resume, he'd been to like 8 different podunk little American towns in 10 years. And I looked at the resume and I thought, like, that's a life I don't want for a family I don't even have yet. Because if I ever wanted to do it, it would not be to coach in Canada, right? For me, the end game would have always been to coach Division I football in the U.S. at the NCAA level. It would not have been to coach in the CFL or U Sports, right? And I looked at that and the path that I'd potentially have to go, and I thought, I'm going to stick with this TV thing for a bit.
Okay, and also for the people texting into the Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox, Farhan and I go way back. I was just kidding about I was just kidding about jealousy. Okay, so Rams win the Super Bowl. Rams Bengals. Farhan, I know you were down in LA. Which of those two teams is most likely to get back to the Super Bowl next year?
Rams for sure. When you look at the Bengals, and I like Joe Burrow, and I like some of the skill pieces that they've assembled, there are still some holes on that roster, and there was a lot of good fortune for them to get to that point when you look at their regular season. So you have to decide, and we go through this with a team like the Habs that made it to the Stanley Cup final. Are they what they actually got to in the playoffs, or are they what they actually showed us during the regular season, right? And you got to ask that question. So while Burrow is ascending, and he's going to be a great player, that AFC is a beast with Patrick Mahomes, with Justin Herbert, with Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. Obviously, like that is a murderer's row. They got holes on their offensive line. They got holes on their secondary. Yes, they've got cap space, but they better get it right, because I think they could take a step back. If you ask me today, I don't see the Bengals in the AFC Championship game next year. Okay. I thought they were fortunate to get past the Chiefs this year. I think the Rams have a better chance to do it.
And before we leave you, Farhan, Rick has a Jeff Reinbold story he'd like to tell you. Do you know, Rick?
This should be good.
Yeah, you
Which
told
was
us
that?
one like yesterday or earlier today.
No,
Did it involve Crown?
No, it involves something else, but it involved the hot tub. But forget it.
Okay.
Anyways.
Oh, what? Stop.
No, it's going to get me. He's trying to get me fired. He's trying to get me fired.
Not a chance.
As long as you were clothed, I'm happy.
Yeah. Thanks, Farhan. Appreciate it.
All right. See you guys.